To this update from Jane's Weather. What we have at the moment is the remains of Cyclone Kirrily. We'll talk about where the rain from that is going to move next. We'll talk about the potential for another cyclone affecting Queensland later next week. We'll talk about all of the heat that has built up over the interior, yes, thanks to El Nino, why it has gone quiet, no heavy wet weather now in the southeast, and where that heat is going to go and how long it is going to last for. And here's a tip, it's not very long, and there's a big cold outbreak in behind it. Let's get into it. But here we have the remains of Cyclone Kirrily. It's right up here in the northwestern corner of Queensland. There's the rain that is associated with that, the cloud as well. There is another low that is right out here, well off the coast, all the way out through here, that could become a problem for us later as we go into next week, the later part of next week. Meanwhile, there's a bit of cloud that is stuck in through these parts here in onshore winds. High pressure is sitting right here over the bight. All of the heat that has built up over the interior is now being pushed down into the southwest, with some huge temperatures there yesterday afternoon. Cool changes moving through. However, the winds are going to turn northerly over South Australia, push that heat in. They're going to turn northerly over the southeast, push that heat in across the weekend, but then cooler air comes in behind it. So let's have a look. We can see that low that is well off the coast. The remains of Cyclone Kirrily up here in Queensland in the northwestern part there. The high that is over the bight, cooler air in the southeast. Move it around, pick up that heat, hotter air moving down into the southwest. This trough here and this cold front here are the cool change that are moving through. So having a look at the 8-day rain outlook. So over the next week, this is what we're looking at. We have the remains of Cyclone Kirrily. Here it is, affecting northwestern parts of Queensland. We've also got the potential for this next one to come onshore somewhere, looking like the northern parts at this stage. We've got the remains of Cyclone Kirrily that are going to feed down into a system crossing the south. That's that trough and cold front as it moves across. And it looks like New South Wales. Now, these parts of New South Wales, cutting right through the middle there, from the northwest into the southeast, that is where the heavy rain is going to be. What it is the remains of this feeding into another system and producing a big rain band that moves through. But a lot of the southeast does miss out on this one. You've got a cold front moving across Tasmania, only affecting the southwest. So day by day, here's day one, which is Friday. Here's the remains of Cyclone Kirrily. It's extending right out onto the coastal areas here, so it's northern Queensland is seeing it. Very dry down in through here and across the rest of the country. Heading into the weekend, so day 2 and 3. Here we have Saturday, starting to move a little bit southwards, less impact as we go into these coastal parts. And then on Sunday, hardly anything left in the northeast, but this one is sliding down and through. So this is rain, this is potential flooding. It's very slow moving and it affects the entire area as it comes in. Now we'll watch it hook up with this system as it comes in and watch it spread straight through. This is Monday, which is day 4. So here it goes, the northeastern corner of South Australia. Big falls in northwestern New South Wales, extending down into the southeast as we go into day 5, which is Tuesday, moving right on through. But you'll notice it does miss all of these parts of the southeast and doesn't really affect Tasmania either. So this is a New South Wales system as it comes through, because that is when the connection from the tropics, from Cyclone Kirrily, the remains of that, meet up with that front as it comes in. When they meet, that's when we get the heavy rain. Okay, having a look further afield, here's our storm that is well out to sea, but this says it could have a path that goes in somewhere in through here. So we'll keep our eyes on that one as we move into next week. Potential cyclone later in the week, northern parts of Queensland. Okay, otherwise, here's the remains of this one moving away. Just a little bit of that creeps up the coast. Otherwise, it is looking very dry all across the southeast and into the southwest as well. Okay, let's have a look here at the temperature which is associated with this. Here's the cold air associated with the remains of Cyclone Kirrily. Here's all the heat that is moving into the southwest. Here's the cooler air on the other side of the high, literally winds traveling around in this direction. You've got all the heat coming down, you've got all the cool air coming up. Let's watch that move through. So heat starts to move into South Australia and then it comes into Victoria, New South Wales, but it definitely clears out of the southwest here. Watch it move through and here's the ball of rain from the remains of Cyclone Kirrily. That spreads down in through here, so it's the rain associated with that, and it splits this. So you've got the heat ahead of this system, just a little bit of that lingering in here. Otherwise, cold air starting to spread across the country. So this is just how much colder than average it is, which is around 5 degrees. So proper cooler air that's coming through. So not very, very cold air, particularly if you're inland. It is summer, but it is cooler than average. Okay, all of that spreading right across the south, the remains of that heat coming in through here. There's the potential cyclone off the coast. And as that comes in, moving through, heat remains here. Moving through all of this cool air, heat remains just in through here, and starting to rebuild over in the west. That's where we're going to see it again, but cooler air for quite a significant period of time as we go through there. Okay, let's have a look at that in action in terms of a week as a whole. So this one begins on Monday. Here we're looking at the rain, whether it is likely to be above or below average for this time of year. You can see the two big features on this for next week. So starting on Monday, meaning it's not affecting these guys because that was over the weekend. So Western Queensland, Friday and over the weekend, that's when the rain is coming. This map starts on Monday. Here it is moving down through these parts of New South Wales, skipping the southeast, the rest of it, and we're skipping this part in here, and then here is the potential cyclone coming into northern parts of Queensland as we go through the later part of next week. So you can see those clearly in action there. What does that do with the temperature? We had a look at that day by day, and by Monday, there's no more heat over the southeast, so all of this cool air is stretching right through here. So cool is going to be the dominant factor from Monday onwards as an overall for the week. We've got warmth up in through here, and we can see this starting to build back in the southwest again. All right, let's head into week 2. Here we go. Okay, we'll have a look at something in a minute, but this looks like we're starting to lose our tropical influence. So it has been here for quite a while now. We've had what is known as the MJO. It's a pulse of tropical moisture over the top of us, and it looks like the week beginning the 12th of February, that is moving away. We'll confirm that one in a second. Otherwise, it is 50-50 down in the southeast here in terms of wet weather. Let's have a look at week 2, which starts on the 12th of February in terms of heat. And it is back. So we had a lot of cool air all in through here. Week 2 looks like we're going to see a fair bit of heat. Now that would mean if we're losing all of that tropical influence, then we've got baking heat here. And whenever you can have a northerly wind, either down in the southwest or down in the southeast, or a direct northerly if you're there, or a westerly if you're in through here, if it's blowing from the interior, you're likely to see heat as that comes through because that's where it is. And so this is telling us that overall we're likely to see a bit of that activity in week 2. Okay, let's have a look at the big picture. Here we are clearly in El Nino because this box out in the Pacific Ocean all the way out there is red. It is warmer than average. This is a global phenomenon, and what that does generally in Australia is pushes the moisture away from us. So over in the Indian Ocean, still all red in through here, but less of a balance. So there's no blue that is offsetting it. So we've lost the dipole there. Otherwise, around Australia, looking cool here at the moment. That was thanks to tropical activity. This one will probably cool down a little bit too once we've got that moving through. But this large area of warmer than average water that is over the Tasman, between Australia and New Zealand, that has been our source of moisture that has particularly affected southeastern parts and brought those heavy falls. El Nino was overridden by this Tasman Sea, and whenever we were in a SAM, which I'll get to in a moment, whenever that was positive, that's when we saw the influence of that. Okay, let's have a look at El Nino. We know we're in it. We saw that box. Here it is up until this point here. Models are suggesting they're a bit out of kilter, but models are suggesting that will downgrade. It will go neutral. There are 2 here that are looking at La Nina as a possibility as we go into winter next year. The rest of them are looking neutral. It is very, very early days, and this is only one piece of the puzzle. Okay, having a look at the Indian Ocean. We've been in our positive Indian Ocean dipole. Positive, why? Because it's the positive side of this map here. Now we are coming out of it. We saw we still had those warm colours in the box, but it wasn't offset by any cold water. So we're out of it now because the monsoon has arrived in Australia, and this is all suggesting that we're going to be neutral as we go through autumn and into winter. Now, there were a couple of models that did have it down here in a -1. They have disappeared now. This is the latest guidance in through here. Having a look at SAM, this is the one we can see here. It was since the early days of December that had been positive, and it has only recently come out of that now. This is very important if you're living in the southeast because we've got all of that warm water over the Tasman. Whenever this goes positive, it taps into that. It overrides El Nino, and that is our source of moisture. So whenever that can run into low pressure, it produces heavy rain. Here we are out of that now, which is why we are taking a break. There's no heavy falls. However, you may go, sorry, what do you mean by this no heavy falls? Let's go jump back up to the top here. Sorry about your eyes. This heavy falls is not related to what's happening in the Tasman Sea. Again, it's one piece of the puzzle, and the thing that is driving that is all of the moisture from the remains of Cyclone Kirrily meeting up with a system. So that one is related to that. Okay, heading back to SAM here. This one, The forecasts aren't great if you're looking ahead. It's more of a, oh, I can understand why something did affect me as it came through. And this is why we're taking a break now, because we are in neutral. Heading into the MJO, this is our pulse of tropical energy. It started here sort of in early January. That's when we noticed things increasing in the tropics. It has been here all through this way here. Now it is just near that green zone, which means near Australia. It's meant to do a bit of a U-turn, come back. So it is lingering with us until about, what do we say, the 12th of February? Yep, that's about in through here when it moves away. So that tropical influence is still sticking with us. We've got another week to 10 days left of that activity, which is why we may see another cyclone coming onto the Queensland coast as we go through the later part of next week. But after that, the modelling suggests it's going to take a break or have a break from that tropical influence. Okay, let's have a look at a longer term pattern. This is February through to April, issued by the Weather Bureau yesterday. You can see that because it's down in through here. And this shows a bit of a break from the tropics because all of that is looking, the chances of exceeding the average rain, or the median rainfall, is incredibly low, but still a slight chance because it's not 100%, it's not 0%. Whereas in through here, this is the one that I want to point out to you. We do have that Tasman Sea. It is incredibly warm. That's not changing in a hurry. Whenever that SAM can go positive as we go through the next month or two, then yes, that will send copious amounts of moisture in from the Tasman, and if there is low pressure in the area, then yes, that will be heavy rain for those who are in its path. What that also means is that it overrides what is happening with El Nino whenever that SAM is positive. You can also get cold fronts come through that tap into some moisture and deliver heavy falls. So just keep an eye out for that Tasman Sea. While we've got that there, the potential is that it can produce some rain for us. Okay, that's it from me for this Friday. It is the 2nd of February. I probably should have said that at the start of the video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again next week. Bye.